everyone, it is Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and this video is mainly going to be about lighting up the B deck. As you can see it behind me right here, it is fully lit by the end of this video. I don't have all of the lighting that will go on the roof for the private promenades and the Parisian Cafe. That'll be in a future video when we do the bottom of the A deck. So, yeah, this one's basically about getting all these rooms wired up and lit up. So, thank you very much for tuning in, and let's get started. Okay, so we're going to be kind of playing around with 3 different decks as we go here. So, just starting to set this up. So, this is the staircase that would go right here. Now, I was wrong. I was thinking that the second class entry in my last video that Woody's makes right here was for this. However, it's actually for the boat deck entry. So no worries, but in the future we'll be putting that together. So that is not for this room, but that's okay. So what we got going on here, we relocated our grand staircase, so this side is good. The forward side is not now, so it looks like I will have to relocate here, here to come back just a little bit, which should not be too big of a deal. Looking at the floor plan, yeah, the staircase ends right here at this wall, and this one is correct, so no issue there that I'm seeing. And then our elevator shaft will end up right there, which I have printed 3D wise, so that'll end up in that world. But in any case, what has to happen, we're going to get into doing some of the lighting work in this episode, because the bottom of the deck, we're going to need to cut this whole entire piece off here, because with the rooms, obviously they're no longer going to line up, and this needs to lay flat down onto the central part of the deck. And we have the entire ceiling that's going to need to go right in through here. So that's going to happen before I start the buildup of this deck. And I had originally thought about just putting this onto the ship and letting it sit until I was ready to bring this on, and then building my fasteners, because my fasteners are going to come down through in here. I was originally going to magnetically fasten this, but I have reconsidered that, and I do believe I'm going to have screws that go in, because I'm using a interior brace from Andrew's 3D Printing. Found it on Facebook, and it looks pretty good and pretty stout for what I actually need to kind of bring the hull together. So what we're going to do is figure out essentially where all of our rooms are. So I'm going to go through and mark all of them on the bottom here, and then probably run my lights. Ooh, I was thinking, I'm wrong on that. I was saying that I had to do the ceiling. This is not the deck that the ceiling goes on. That's actually the bottom of the boat deck where the ceiling goes. So no, this is just standard ceiling at this point. So I'll be able to light each room pretty much. And what I'm going to end up doing is doing them in groups of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll have kind of a negative bar down here, and then I'll have my positive feed all together. But we'll get into that more once I start to actually get this built out into what I need to do. So to cut these, I'm basically just going to kind of take a nipper here and start trimming my way down until it is all gone, which yeah, it'll be a little bit time consuming, but it has to happen. So this is how I'm going to cut it. I'm sure somebody out there has a better way to do it, but this is what I'm doing, and it gives me a nice flat mating area for the deck to kind of go onto. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and paint up this. I am also going to go ahead and take these doors off because I plan to use the KA doors, the brass ones, just because we're getting into areas on the outside where it's a lot more visible and noticeable, so I'll use the KA. But really the walls just have to be painted white. I need to drill out these deck lights, and then we'll slip through some nano lights into there, and we'll get that mounted down onto the deck over there. And in the meantime, I'm going to start putting the lighting along the bottom here, and I want to play with it a little bit because I want to figure out if I want to do individual lights or if I'm going to use the LED strip, because I could use the LED strips that come with the kit and just cut them into individual pieces and kind of illuminate them from above here, and if I step it down with resistors, I think that would work perfectly fine. Now above the Cafe Parisien, that will have some decking it goes, or some ceiling it goes on it, as well as the back promenade back here, and I believe the private promenade up here also. So I don't know, I'm going to be going through and kind of figuring out a whole lot of little things here, and then I'll come back to you and kind of let you know where we're at with it, because there's going to be a lot of customizing to make this all work. Okay, so I started doing some of our wiring for the rooms up here, the cabins, on the front section here. And what I decided to do, I debated whether I wanted to put these onto the bottom of the actual deck, like on the A deck, and have them kind of attached to the deck, which would have been difficult because then the deck's not going to be as separatable, or if I wanted to kind of make them an overhang, which is what I opted to do. And these lights that I'm using, they're nanos, and God, I think I got like 80 of them on Amazon for like 15 bucks, but they have a real solid bendableness to them, I guess you would say, and they're making it pretty easy for me to basically just bend it to the size I need, and then kind of bring it in. I can glue it onto the wall, obviously, and then connect it. So for a negative, I took a piece of model rail right here, and as you can see, all my negatives are headed to that, and then I have just my positive on this wire. Now this is just a test setup, because obviously this is going to be battery powered, but for assembly purposes I kind of need to be able to plug it in, plug it off, or plug it in and unplug it. So essentially when we plug it in, that's what we got. Now I yellowed the lights. I've already put the upper deck on them, and you should kind of be able to see with my finger over here that it's not overly bright. Unfortunately I left the deck upstairs. I'll grab the boat deck a second so you can kind of get an idea of the light coming forward, which will be going through windows anyhow. Actually that side's straight, so that's a little bit better, and you kind of get an idea of what's happening there. So I also ended up taking some yellow paint and just applied it to the tip of the light, like literally right there, to kind of cover it and give it that yellowish tint, and that also dulled it down quite a bit, which was definitely needed. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and unplug this, move the deck itself, and then kind of show what I do, because I basically join 4 of the lights together. So I already know for sure that I have enough room to, not room, but enough length on these wires to make these make it without having to extend them. So I'm going to take 4 of them, and I want to keep my copper as my positive and the silver as my negative. So I'm basically just going to get these all together. Oops. And one more. That one seems to have, it's okay. I thought it soldered itself together. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a resistor, and that is a 9.1 to 14.4, which fits within our voltage that we're doing. And now I'm just going to kind of join the positive with the resistor. Just like that. And then let me grab my little piece of wood. Then we're going to just kind of set that on there for a minute. Go this way. There's glue on the other side. And then we're just going to solder. And you don't have to go real crazy with it, but obviously you want to get a good hold on it. And yeah, that worked its way all the way through. So next I need to grab a piece of heat shrink, and I'm going to kind of cover that, so I actually have to run upstairs and get that. So I'm going to pause it for a second and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to take my heat shrink, and generally I cut these in half because I'm cheap, but really, in all reality, you don't need to necessarily have everything covered on it. So I'm going to slip that over and basically just kind of get it over the resistor. You can either heat it up with your soldering iron, or you can just use a heat gun. So we're going to heat that up for a minute. Okay, so there we go. So now all that will have to happen is we put these lights onto their respective rooms, and we can go ahead actually and solder the negative together. That won't really hurt anything, because they're all gonna get soldered together anyhow when they get attached to the piece of rail that I'm using for a negative bar. And the only reason I'm really doing that is to keep wiring down. That way you have a little bit less wiring going on, and there's one central negative essentially going to it. So you could also just do it with wire, but either way is going to work essentially. Sometimes they just don't like to braid together real well. So there we go. Okay. So now we're just going to solder those, and then we'll add more once we get it to the rail, but this will get them together at least. Okay. So now I'm just going to start putting these onto their respective rooms, and I'll come back after we glue them on. So be back shortly. Okay, so as you can see, I have a lot of lights done in here so far. I did skip a couple decks, or not decks, but cabins on purpose, because you know, they wouldn't have all been lit up at any one given time. So I lit most of them, but here and there I did skip like one or two, kind of show them lit up. So there you can kind of get an idea of it, and that has the yellow paint over it, just basically to give it that yellowish tinge. So what happens from here, there is lighting that goes on the entryway right here, and then lighting that would be above the private promenade. So I am not going to light that from here. I'm going to light that coming down through A deck and then out. And the reason for that is I have the Woody's I-beam pieces here. So you can see that is for here, right here, and then this one would go right in here. Then this is going to be Cafe Parisian back here. So they have all these holes in here for the lighting, and basically I will end up putting one of these lights behind that, so it will kind of shine through. It'll be flipped, obviously, and shining down onto the floor rather than shining up how it is in that. But we're not going to be ready for this until it's time to go ahead and kind of get the deck down on top of that. So we're going to skip that area. However, I am going to light up the grand staircase area. And what my plan looks like for that, again, the only place you're going to actually be able to see this is through that window right there. So I'm going to run a light over here almost to that column, and there actually would have been a column right here, so I think I can actually add another column. Yeah, because there will be a banister there, so I will add another column, and I might actually mount the light right onto that column, and that will kind of be right in line with the window. So I'll do that on both sides, and then I'll make the banister right here, and that basically should illuminate this area right here that we need for the grand staircase. And I'll probably put one back in here because there's a hallway that would have came across here, and you'll be able to see the flooring there and the back of the elevator and everything like that through that one window, potentially. I mean, you won't really have a lot of visibility to it, but you might be able to see something. So I'll light that up too. But anyway, there's where we are right now. I'll end up covering these wires probably with some blue tape just to kind of conceal them. So when you're looking in, you don't see spaghetti like in between the hallway doors there. And it really isn't going to be much of a chance for it to be seen, but I'm still going to try to mask it as best I can where I can. But yeah, I gotta put some heat shrink right in here, and then I'll put some liquid tape over these to cover that. And basically this section's pretty much about where I want it after I get the grand staircase done. Back here then I'll do something very similar with a rail line or rail tie. It'll probably be longer here. No, I don't have that in there all the way right now, so that's why it's blinking. But I'll use the rail tie, not tie, but rail piece of rail, whatever you want to call it. And I'll put that in, and that will be our negative again for over here. And that will be connected to this side. So the wire that connects right here is going to go down under the deck, and then it will split off over to here. So they will be all jumped together, basically because it's all coming off of one power supply, and that's how it's going to work. So let me go ahead and get the grand staircase lit up, and then we'll come down here and start lighting up some of these staterooms. So be back shortly. Okay, on second thought, after kind of looking at this, what I think I'm going to actually do is run the wires over here from this side rather than trying to come up over here. There's not really, I can pretty much get everything that I want to hit by doing that. So yeah, I'm gonna play with it a little bit, but maybe I'll do a combination deal actually, where I do some into these staterooms. Now one of these was not actually rented out or booked, I guess you'd say, because it was supposed to be Astor's, or not Astor, JP Morgan. So I got to see which one was supposed to be Morgan's, and I probably won't light that one up, but maybe I will, just because of the effect. But I don't know, I'll get one side lit and kind of make a decision from there. So anyway, let me pause again. I got to drill a hole for the stack, the plumbing for the smoke to come up quick, and I got to kind of figure out where that's going to land. It should be in this neighborhood somewhere, so I don't want to put down my rail in the same place where that's going to go. But yeah, I'm going to get the banister painted up and put that on quick, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I'm a little bit farther than halfway when it comes down to it. Got my holes for the funnel smoke, which is literally just a little tube, so it doesn't need to be real big, and I do have wires that are coming up through there. I know it looks a little messy, but there's not really a good way of doing this, and I'm not going to go spend the time to cut all these wires exactly to length and make it 100% perfect, because one, nobody will ever see it, and two, it really does not matter that much. It's getting the effect though that I want. Definitely has that old light bulb look to it, so pretty happy with this so far. So next up, we're gonna end up running another jumper. Oh, sorry, I have that connected there. We're gonna run another jumper behind the funnel here, and that will be our feeds for these cabins here and the aft grand staircase. So that's going to actually feed quite a bit. Then from there, I'll drill a hole, and there will be wire going down under that will end up being over here in the second class staircase, which will feed the lighting for our a la carte restaurant, which I guess that's off camera, sorry. So that'll feed the lighting for a la carte and second class smoking. So essentially that's the plan, and we're just going to continue moving at it. I still got to get this building painted up, because that's how this all started, because I wanted to put the deck lights in, but whatever, we're going to get there, and yeah, we'll continue. Okay, so I'm taking a break quick from making lighting bundles because I ran out, so I got these going, but I want to go ahead and get the fourth funnel, or not fourth funnel, this little deck house taken care of, which would have been the second class stairway housing. So I'm using the China 3D printed doors, and as you can see, they're all lettered along the side there, so M corresponds to M. Now this one only has 2 doors, so not really too difficult to figure out where they go because they're both the same, but the instructions do show that they will go clockwise. So when we get to the point that it's time to put them on in other deck houses, they they go in a clockwise pattern, and we'll show that when it comes time for that. But for now, we're just doing that door, or these two doors. I don't know if it is warm. I was gonna say, I don't know if I turned that on. So I'm just using my heat knife and gonna clean that up quick. This probably could have been a little bit hotter before I started filming, but it's all right. They're pretty easy to trim, so no biggie. So we're just gonna get them kind of trimmed up, cleaned up, and put them on, and then we'll get this painted up. And I already drilled the holes for the deck lights, and show how they go on. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I got my lighting done up on this end. Now, I still, obviously, like I said earlier, will have lighting. It comes down on the Cafe Parisian and the private promenades over here on the other end. Whoops, came undone there. But these are all pretty well yellowed out. And sorry, I just have these, I just have this kind of holding on there for demonstration purposes. But anyway, there we go. The boathouse, what I've decided I'm going to do on this, I am getting the kit that has the deck house lighting in it, so I'm going to hold off from putting this one completely together because I do need to run the wiring off of here back to here, basically to put the wiring in for the lighting for that room. So I really can't move forward until I do that. I may put a little light in this room here and that one, you know, in the pantry area. But essentially, that pretty much brings the B deck to a close from this standpoint. Now I got to clean up some of the wiring. I'm gonna drill some holes and basically run a zip tie around it just to hold the wires a little bit better, and I'll show that in the next video. The other thing I got to do is finish building the staircases for both sides. So I got that one, and I need to finish this one. So I'll get this together, that way it can get mounted down here. And then I got to put my people in, and I ended up going with a set of not real good ones, I guess that's the best way to say it, from eBay, just for the lower deck part. For out here, I'll use my real ones, but they're like $30 for a little box of 100 versus $5 for the ones that aren't real detailed. So I'm just going to use those, and they'll be on most of the interior spaces where you won't really be able to see anyway. But at the end of the day, this pretty much is what I wanted the interior to look like. I'm getting real good visual through the windows on the side when you look at it, and I'll do more of that as we go in the future once we kind of start to get this onto the hull and actually assemble it. But the other aspect that I have that I'm kind of waiting on right now is a inner hull kit that basically has braces that will help to draw the hull together a little bit better, because right now it separates a little bit more than it needs to, and it has some bows to it, which is very typical for this model kit, and that setup does a really good job to correct it. So we'll be installing that, and that will also give me my mounting points, because my mounting points are going to need to be in the center here for the most part. I might do a couple that are in some of the rooms depending on how I need to pull it together, but more to come on that once it comes time for actually mounting it. But the other nice thing about these lights, how I did this, if I don't like a position of them, I can kind of move them around a little bit and just kind of get them right where I want them to be. I gotta put some yellow on that one yet, but you know, all in all, Hopefully this was helpful for anybody that's doing wiring. I know it kind of looks like spaghetti in here, but unfortunately that is the reality when you build these. The biggest thing is just making sure that your negative and positive isn't going to touch each other, and you have a real good solid soldering point. So I'm going to wrap it up here at this point. Thank you very much for watching. If this was helpful at all, please like and subscribe, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.